everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with Spellbinders. And yes, we're creating more Christmas. Makes me smile, makes me happy. This is part of the Sparkling Christmas Glimmer collection, and we threw in a couple from the dies as well. These are the two main Glimmer plates that we'll be using. This one here is called Merry Salutations. And this beautiful background is called Snowflake Sparkle. So these here, I'm going to use gold, red, viridian green for my foils for the Merry Salutations. So I'm going to use the gold on that. And what I have found to be very helpful when it comes to the Glimmer system is this. Using the washi tape, making sure that my fancy side of the foil is up, putting the plate down on that onto the cardstock. I tend to not then glimmer my plates. Although they do look beautiful now. Oh, come on, we all do it. So in this set, you get that beautiful large sentiment, like the one from a previous kit. And then you get these little leaves and this little poinsettia. So that's where the red and the viridian green foils are coming in. So I'm just going to be doing them multiple times. I have my Glimmer foil system heating up there off to the side. And I will make sure that listed down below are the videos that you can watch so that you can learn more tips and tricks when it comes to the Glimmer hot foil system and its operation. So here I'm just putting the green down, and again, I've gotten very used to using the washi tape. I just find that is extremely helpful. Now again, remember, with this system it does come with a pair of tweezers that do have a magnetic, and that's what you should use to pick up your plates as you're picking them up off of the platform after they've been warmed up. Please don't do what I do. I don't want anyone to burn themselves. Just because I can do it doesn't mean you should. Just say. So here are what my images look like. Now, I'm not worried about the outside foil. Now, if there is foil on the outside, I do love to use a white eraser to get rid of it. This is absolutely beautiful, just as it is on its own. So I'm going to set that aside, and I'm going to continue through to do my sentiment, to do my little tiny poinsettias, and also some other die cuts that come with this as well. I'm going to create a double mat using some green and red cardstock. I'm going to layer those up, and then I'm going to put my panel with the foiled Merry right in the center of that as well. I have some of the Spellbinders gold foil paper, and I've cut that into strips, and I'm going to put that on each side of my standard A2 size card base. This way, since they're sitting on each of the side, when I put this panel right in the center, I will have the gold accent coming down each side of the card panels. This way, and that's another way to stretch those fancy papers that we love. Right? Right. I'm going to set my main panel down, and then I will attach the Merry as well. Once I have that all in place, I'm then going to start adding the accents, such as the die cut leaves. I am going to use my tweezers for these little tiny pieces here. The berries, and also the foil pieces as well. You can see just with the die cuts alone, you can create a beautiful wreath that goes around the Merry. I'm going to use my wax pencil to pick up the berries. Now, some of these are going to be hidden. because you can just use the die cuts here, just keep adding greeneries if you want, and add 3 berries to each of those, and then this would be fine if you didn't choose to foil the poinsettias and those leaves, the holly leaves that come around it. You can also just use the hollow leaves and the berries. So there's so many options that you have with this, which I think is really cool. I just wanted to add it all because I was having way too much fun with this. For those of you that have seen my previous videos, you know how I love to collage. I could just keep adding images on top of images. It makes it fun. I do. It's, you know, some people love to alcohol color. Some people love to watercolor. I love to collage. I love to layer. It makes me happy. I'm going to set aside these pieces. Moving on. I'm gabbing there. I'm going to set aside those pieces and just put them in a bowl that can be used for later. I do save many of my pieces. I am going to take a small strip of the gold paper by Spellbinders, and I'm going to place that to the bottom, and then I will place that to the top of my sentiment and set that down in the bottom left-hand corner. It is on there a little bit crooked, but I'm okay with that. We let it go. It's not ever a time that we start over. So let's move on to the next card. I'm going to use this beautiful plate, and I had to use this beautiful opal foil. It is becoming one of my favorites. Now, the trick with the opal, you saw how transparent that is. There is no way I would be able to tell which is the right side and which is the wrong side. The only way that I know which is the right side is as I'm rolling it off the roll. So, I put that right down onto the paper. I then take my plate, put that down on top of that. I know that's set in place. And even though I'm using a piece that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, perfect size of the plate, I can still use my washi tape, put that onto the plate, gently lift this up, keep it centered, and then just fold over the washi tape. Just make sure that it's extending past the piece of foil. I am going to set the plate down onto my hot glimmer and let that heat up. I'm going to use a Glimmer set from from November 2019. It was one of the sets that we got for the Glimmer Kit of the Month. And I'm going to use one of those sentiments from that kit. Yes, you're hearing me crinkle because I'm going to look at my card there. This is absolutely stunning. After I used this plate, I just knew that this was my favorite foil. I am just absolutely in love with that color, and it works great on dark cardstock too. So I wanted to show you another way that you can utilize this plate as well. I'm going to grab my platform for my Platinum 6. I'm going to grab my spongy, rubbery Spellbinders embossing mat, which I love calling it that. I'm going to make sure that my the plate is face down onto my cardstock, my shim, and another clear plate. So this is just another way that you can stretch out those glimmer plates. They're not just for the glimmer system. You can actually use them to give you a beautiful embossed image onto your piece of cardstock. So you can foil and emboss with it. So I think that's great. And you can also emboss with the other images as well. You don't have to just use a background plate like that. You can use many different things. You can use an image or anything you want. Again, to stretch your supplies. This die that you see here is called the D-Lights Snowflake. And that too is from the Sparkling Christmas collection as well, but on the die side. So I cut that out 6 times. I'm going to layer it 3 times for each card. For the first one, I just put glue in the center, and for the second one, I am creating a chipboard type piece where I am gluing all areas of the die cut together so that it will lay flat. I did use the sentiment Merry Christmas from the November 2019 Glimmer kit of the month, and I will set that, I foiled that in silver, and I will set that across the center of that snowflake. And I'll just use my liquid adhesive for that. You can just see that foil. I am absolutely loving that foil very much. I will use my liquid adhesive to put that panel. I did cut that panel down to 4 and 5 1/4, which I'm using my colored card base as the mat. With the other one, I just kept it to the 4 1/4 and 5 1/2. I figured they needed just a little bit more sparkle when it came to these cards, so I will actually be adding some iridescent sequins to the one on the left. And yes, I'm crinking some papers here, so I apologize. Just putting my stuff away there. And I'll be setting a sequin to each end of the snowflake and then one in the center, just to give it some more sparkle. Now you could also add some sequins to the outside of this as well, just to emphasize the embossed areas, but I didn't want to take away from that. And this is what they look like. And again, that foil is just, it's called opal. It is just absolutely gorgeous. And again, I only know what side's the right side as I'm pulling off the roll. But it's beautiful. So this here is also part of the sparkling collection. Again, it is on the die set, or the die side. And this is called the Etched Dies Christmas Tree, or tree. So it doesn't have to be a tree. I mean, I'm making it because of the die that also comes with it, with the star for the top. I mean, you can use it as a great accent for the triangles on each corner of the card, depending upon the card size that you make. So there's many possibilities with this simple image. I did use one of the rectangle dies from a previous collection by Becca Feakin called the Elegant Twist dies. And I am using the largest. Once I have this tree put together and the stars, I will set them aside to dry so that I can work on that rectangle die with what I wanted to do with it. I am going to be bringing in some DMC floss so that I can weave around the top and the bottom of that rectangle die, just to give it a little bit of texture. And plus, I wanted to see if it would work. Yeah, just saying. So I grabbed 2 colors of DMC floss. I grabbed a lime green, which of course will not up on me because that's what just happens to me. And then I grabbed a red. I went with, I am very much the traditional colors. The hunter green, the deep red, the browns, the blacks, when it comes time for Christmas, the more traditional colors. But I am a fan of the lime green and red and white. I think it just gives a very interesting spin to the colors of Christmas. There's a tree, a Christmas tree that I put out actually in what I refer to as a sunroom. Some people call it a 3-season room. And there's a large tree that I put in there. Very basic, but large. But that's the whole color scheme of this tree. And I'm absolutely in love with it. I could sit out there for hours. My husband's always like, "Where are you?" I'm usually sitting out there. So I'm weaving, okay, back to the card. So I'm weaving these threads back and forth. And I'm just going to do it on the short side, the top and the bottom. And I'm going to go one way and then come back on itself. Now, you want to be careful when you're doing this. So the cardstock you should use is at least 80 pounds. This is what I used. This is the Desert Storm Nina, 80 pounds. And you can see I'm able to do multiple weaves when it comes to this. They are going the same way. So if when I went the first way, if it was below the cardstock, it's going to be below coming back as well. So almost creating like my own ribbon going back and forth. I'm sure the ribbon would be easier to weave through this as well because, yeah, see, here's another night. I loved cross stitch. I still do. I don't have much time to do it, but yeah, I'm a lazy crafter. I need to have the the long string, so I just, you know, I don't want to prep too long. I just want to get everything and go, and cross stitch was like that, so I would have these really long threads, because one, I would forget to use my thread magic. For those of you that cross stitch, you know what I'm talking about. And then my strings were really, really long, so they would knot very, very easily. I spent more time taking knots out than I did cross stitching, but I still love it. Absolutely love it. My favorites to work on were the Mirabilias. So I don't know if, for those of you that cross stitch, know what those are, but I'm a huge fan of them. Okay, so back to the card. So you can see I put bows on the ends where the tassels are coming off. Yes, I'm getting better at bows. Yay me! See, if we keep practicing, we get better. See? Proof of that. So I placed my tree down onto the my panel that is now on my standard A2 size card base. And then I'm going to grab my sentiment. Now the sentiment that I chose was Making Spirits Bright. And I'm going to set that on a piece of the lime cardstock. I foiled it on the Desert Storm, and I thought if I just left it that way, it was going to get kind of lost. So I'm going to glue this down with a very fine edge of the lime. I am not going to cut this. I hate measuring. Oh, I hate measuring. So I'm going to use my scissors to trim out each end, and I am going to trim right across the top, keeping the same border as the bottom. Because that's just what I do. I hate measuring. It's just, for me, it's just quicker to do that. I do put this on Cricut on my card, and I'm okay with that. I think these cards were the ones, you know, Cricut sentiments all the way. But again, we don't start over. We just keep going. These are handmade cards. These are pieces of art. And that's what makes them unique. So please, always keep that in mind. It does not destroy the card. I did add some gold gems from Pretty Pink Posh, just to add some sparkle. So I do hope you enjoyed these projects using the, the Sparkling Christmas collection. Wow, that was a tongue twister there. Both from the Glimmer and also the Dies side. As always, the products that I used will be listed down below in case you want to check them out. And also, if you have any questions, please make sure you leave those down below as well, and I will get back to you as soon as I can. If you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love for you to hit that button, be part of our group. I appreciate you taking the time to stop by and watch this video. Hopefully I gave you a few tips and tricks. I hope everyone is enjoying their day, as always, and especially continue to stay safe and healthy. But remember what's most important to me, especially now. Always be creative. Till next time, guys.